Good evening. I'm Margaret Swick with the League of Women Voters. Welcome to our forum tonight. Thank you for participating and sharing your platform with voters. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We do not support candidates or political parties. We do, however, study the issues of our day and following consensus, take positions on political issues. We support civility in the public sphere always, and we honor those willing to take on the task of governing. We will begin tonight with an opening statement from each candidate, move to our questions, and close with a 1-minute final statement from each of you. Let's begin. We'll begin with opening statement from Ms. Schooler. And I'm on mute. They're on mute. Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. Well, a little bit of background information about myself. My name is Vaughna Schooler. I have lived in Biggs since 2019. We ended up here after the campfire, like many other residents. I am a mom of 2. My son is in 2nd grade at Richville Elementary. And as I've gotten involved this year with the Parents Association, it's kind of what has driven me to want to be involved with the school board as well.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Atteberry. You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I have been a longtime resident of Biggs. I've attended all 4 of the schools in Biggs, from the elementary school through the high school.
Mhm.
I have served as a parent volunteer in the classroom on a weekly basis for many, many years. I served on school site council. By profession, I'm an attorney and a mediator, and I think those skills will serve me well in addressing the needs of our district.
Thank you. Ms. Navarro.
Hi, thank you for having me. I've America Navarro. I've been a resident of Biggs since 2010. My kids have attended the elementary schools, high school. My son is a graduate of Biggs High School. My daughter currently attends Biggs High School. I have served 2 terms and going for my 3rd term. I actually am a classified employee at another school district, as well as serving both on the PAWS, RPA when my kids went to Richville, Biggs High School Boosters, Egg Boosters. I'm deeply committed to Biggs, the school district, the community, and looking forward to hopefully a 3rd term.
Thank you. Okay, our first question is to Ms. Atteberry. What do you think the Biggs Unified School Board needs to do to improve academic achievement for all students, including any academic performance gaps resulting from the pandemic?
I think that question is best directed to the teachers who have the hands-on experience with the students and can tell us much more than we as parents or grandparents or community members. I think we have to listen to the teachers and find out what they believe are the most important issues to address to improve those scores.
Okay. Ms. Navarro.
Oh, same question.
Mm-hmm.
Could you repeat it for me?
What do you think the Biggs Unified School Board needs to do to improve achievement scores for all students, including any academic performance gaps resulting from the pandemic?
I think it's a very important topic, not just at our school district, but in all school districts. I see it on a daily basis with my current position, the learning gaps that kids are suffering through as we've come back from the pandemic. And I agree with Ms. Atteberry, where I feel that the teachers are the ones that are going to lead us with administration behind them to let us know exactly what the kids need, not just in testing, but curriculum. Are we using, the correct curriculum? The kids right now are essentially 2 to 3 years behind, and we need to get them caught up. And the teachers and administration are the people that are going to hopefully get us there.
Thank you. Ms. Schooler.
Well, to echo Ms. Atteberry and Ms. Navarro, I absolutely agree supporting our teachers. I know that in my short time at Ridgeville Elementary, meeting the teachers there and listening to their concerns and their involvement with the students and the ideas that they have with the students have been really inspiring. I know that they are working in different programs and opportunities that are given to them so they can learn to teach our students better and to meet their individual needs. Along with the opportunity to better support our teachers, I also feel it's important to listen to parents. Our parents are going to know their children's individual needs, and so hearing their concerns and being able to apply those to the school to help fill that gap that we did see from the pandemic and get students caught up to prepare them for the next year, I think is vital to be able to work with the parents alongside the teachers.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Ms. Navarro. How do the academic performance scores of big students compare to California scores in general? Please describe any differences you see in BIGS and state scores.
I think it comes down to the general area. Being a small school, I do know our scores are lower to comparable larger school districts, but at the same time, I think overall we are seeing a gap everywhere, and making sure that we're being supportive of the teachers. And as a parent, I know that as a parent, I set high standards for my kids. I communicate those concerns to the teacher, that hopefully they're going up the ladder, to administration and to back to myself as a school board member, because I do understand the importance of, the scores being low in BIGS. What kind of community do we have? It's relative to the families and people in our school district. And we are going to have a lot of it. And we currently have a lot of English learners, a lot of lower income students that might not have.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Excuse me. Ms. Schooler, please.
I do know, as Ms. Navarro said, that the scores are lower than what we're seeing at a state level. I know there's a lot of conflict, or not necessarily conflict, but debate around Common Core. And at a state level, that's something that we at a district level don't have much influence over. But I do know that the curriculum at state level that is handed down to us and the opportunities and the curriculum that we have, as Ms. Navarro said, available for students, taking time to look at what's working and what's not working, and using tools and different types of curriculum for us to be able to better support our students, what works for one student versus what works for another student. Again, in the short time I've been at Ridgeville Elementary, I have seen Megan Duarte implement different curriculum for the students, and I have seen my son excel with those. So I think having that flexibility and those options is important in helping to get those test scores up.
Thank you. Ms. Atteberry.
I echo what Ms. Navarro and Ms. Schooler both stated. The scores are low and they're disappointing. And there's a lot that we can do to improve them. Number one, listening to the teachers and listening to the parents, but also recognizing that there are those students that don't have that support at home that would give them the tools to increase those scores. And I think we need to be looking at those students that are disadvantaged, because we do have a large population of disadvantaged students in our district. And without that parent support, there's a gap there that we need to work on filling and seeing what we can do to address those needs of those students that don't have that family support at home.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Ms. Schooler. What role do you think parents need to play in establishing curriculum in big schools?
I think it's very important for parents to be involved in establishing curriculum. Again, most parents are going to be involved in their students' education, and they're going to be the ones that know how their students learn. I know that there's a lot of debate, again, at a state level for things like the California Fair Education Act. Nationally, we've seen the CRT, critical race theory come out, and there's been a lot of debate over that as well. So I feel like for a district and for a school board member to be open to listening to the parents' concerns and being able to take that to a curriculum level to be teaching our students what they need to know to prepare them to go out into the world with the basic education, and to help the parents feel comfortable with what is being taught, and partnering with them to do that is very vital in a child's education.
Thank you. Ms. Atteberry?
I think it is important to receive feedback with the parents, but I think one element that has been missing at the district parent teacher level in not only our community, but many communities, is effective communication between all the stakeholders involved, between the parents and the teachers, the school board, and everybody involved, as to the limitations that exist to the choices that we have. And a lot of times parents expect the school board to make choices that aren't there. And I think that that needs to be effectively communicated. But I do think that we need to be listening to the parents and receiving that input and explaining to them the realities of the process of governing a school district.
Thank you. Ms. Navarro? Unmute.
Can I get the question again, please?
What role do you think parents need to play in establishing curriculum in big schools?
Well, to echo Ms. Atteberry, in my 2 years serving on the board, it is so important, and I wish that more parents were involved, not just by talking to teachers and administration, but actually coming to a school board meeting. Like Ms. Atteberry said, sometimes, the governing, your hands are tied to what you can do. But if parents came and voiced their concerns at a school board meeting and saw the issues that were being discussed about everything, not just curriculum, it would really open their eyes and get them more involved in what's happening in the communities.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Ms. Atteberry. What do you think are the top challenges facing big schools this year?
The top challenge that I would like to address as a school board member, and I've heard it echoed in the community for a very long time, is the issue of bullying and how that affects the students, not only the students, but the teachers and the parents. And it has become an issue that, in my opinion, hasn't been addressed effectively. We hear through the community many times, they talk a good talk, but there's not the policies and the procedures being implemented to actually address the problem. So that's a huge problem that lays on my heart that I hope, and I think it's one of the largest problems, because I think the mental health crisis in our young people right now is startling.
Okay, Ms. Navarro?
Top
Challenges.
Top challenges. I would agree with Ms. Atteberry. I think one would be the bullying, the social emotional aspect of kids in schools, but not just that. We also have to educate parents on bullying itself. And I would hope that our school district would make an effort to hold more community meetings. You'd be surprised how many parents don't know what bullying is or what the definition of bullying is, and how sometimes a school's hands are tied when it comes to discipline, and having those meetings to be able to discuss that so that they're aware would be very beneficial.
And Ms. Schooler.
I know one of the things that has been discussed at Ridgeville Elementary is the 6th grade camp trip and the fundraising at Ridgeville, separate from the fundraising at Biggs. But I know that last year the 6th graders weren't unable to go, and this year there's some questions whether they'll be able to go due to funding. So I feel like being able to allocate and support the funding for students to be able to have those opportunities, those are things that students are going to look back on, and it's going to impact their life, and they're going to feel that support. So I feel like funding for the schools, supporting fundraising for the schools, and again, getting the parent involvement to do those things is a challenge that I feel like our community is more than capable of accepting.
Thank you. And Ms. Navarro, what are your priorities as a member of the school board? What do you want to accomplish?
Gosh, that's a big question. I want to accomplish a lot. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I look back on this is my opinion. I would like to see more kids seeking higher education. I feel that we need to be more supportive. With my son now in his 2nd year at college, I see that there is so many opportunities out there, and our kids need to be made aware of them. I sometimes feel that they're not told about programs. There's so many things. Kids feel like they can't go to college, but it's possible. And I want to be able to get all these resources to them, especially in a community like ours, where we do have a lower income bracket, where they might feel that those opportunities are out of their reach, and they're not.
Ms. Schooler.
I would say one of my top priorities as the possibility of being a school board member would be to continue to support our teachers, support our parents, try to get that parent involvement. I know one of my concerns going into my son, being school aged, was that there would be a lack of communication as a parent with a teacher. And I've been pleasantly surprised that has not been the case. But as a school board member and as a school district, I feel like it's important that we continue to support that, to support the communication. And with that involvement, it will help to address issues like bullying. It will help bridge the gap for those who aren't, have disadvantages, as Miss Atteberry had mentioned. Because then we can see those needs and we can find ways to fill those. So I feel like meeting the students' needs and supporting the teachers are going to be the top priorities that I have.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Ms. Schooler. What leadership qualities, what leadership experience, qualities, and background do you have that can make you an effective school board member? Ms. Schooler.
Before I answer that question, Ms. Atteberry didn't have the opportunity to answer the last one, so I don't know if we want to take a step back.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Yes, I checked it off. What are your personal priorities? And Ms. Atteberry, I cannot see your face. It's dark.
Oh, I know, it's getting dark out here. Let me see if I can increase the light. There. Oh gosh, I don't want to bright. There, is that better?
Better, much better.
Okay, thank you. My priorities are to address the bully situation, address those, see what we can do to help those kids that have those unmet needs at home, and most of all, increase the communication throughout the district between teachers and parents, and just be able to see what we can do to open up those lines of communication to make sure that each stakeholder, each participant, including the students, especially at the high school level, are being heard and that their needs are being met. And thank you, Ms. Schooler.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Schooler. Our next question, what leadership experience, qualities, and background do you have that will make you an effective school board member? Ms. Schooler.
Thank you. I graduated from Chico State in 2012 with my bachelor's degree in liberal studies and a minor in child development. At the time, I had plans to go into the credential program and become a teacher, but I had my son and was a stay-at-home mom. Once I returned to the workforce, I work at a company in Chico, and I'm the project coordinator. So I manage schedules, communication with internal members, and I am also working on my master's in management as well. So outside of those things, being a mom and a wife, I've also been involved with churches, with youth groups, with children's ministries. So I've been in leadership positions. I have worked well with other people. I collaborate daily. It's literally my job description. So I feel like being part of a team is something that I do well.
Ms. Atteberry.
I have been a community leader for 4-H. I've been on the board of Little League. I've been on the board at our church council. I've been on the statewide board for collaborative practice as an attorney and learning how to work collaboratively. I've actually had trainings in listening and as a mediator that I think will serve me well in this capacity. I've served on school site council and have seen that inner workings of the school that most people don't get to see. And I've been a mom, most importantly. I've been a student at big schools, and I've been a mom, which I think serves me well.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Navarro.
Okay, leadership. Well, for one, I'm currently a school secretary at Thermalito Union School District. So there's a lot of I understand the communication portion of that. I'm collaborating daily with my principal, my vice principal, school counselors. I also am a paralegal on the side, and I work with attorneys, putting on conferences, attending seminars for them as well. And my experience on RPA board, Richville Parents Association, I was a board member there. Currently, or was a board member at the Biggs Paws Association. So I would say those are my leadership skills.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Ms. Atteberry. How will parents and staff contact and/or speak with you by email, phone, text? Describe how available you will be for staff and for parents.
My cell phone is widely disseminated. My email is widely disseminated. And sometimes it just helps to have a conversation rather than send a text or send an email. And that can, I invite any members of the community, parents, teachers, or otherwise, to reach out and talk to me about what their concerns are and what they would like to see addressed.
Thank you. Ms. Navarro.
Yes, email. I receive emails from, my email is available to everyone. I receive emails currently as a board member, phone calls, texts, but most importantly, the people that I see on a daily basis when I'm at the schools as a parent. I'm at the high school. I was at the elementary school when my daughter was at the elementary school, both at Richville and at Biggs. So just seeing the community, and those makes them more approachable to you to come and talk to you about stuff.
Okay. And Ms. Schooler.
Once again, to echo the other candidates here, I would absolutely be available, phone, text, email, in person. I agree. It's just more personable when you can have a face-to-face conversation with somebody. Oftentimes, having a face-to-face conversation with somebody is going to lead to a much different conversation than, say, something like an email or text message. So being available in person when possible, and then of course by email or phone to be able to help address any concerns from staff or parents.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, Ms. Navarro. How influential do you think state lottery funds are in the big school district? Explain what they contribute to education in Biggs.
I do know that funding comes from state lottery. I couldn't tell you specifically right now off the top of my head how those funds are currently being used in our district. But I do know that, we as a current board member are looking at, all aspects of schools and making sure that the funding's going where it's needed.
Ms. Schooler?
Yeah, to be completely just transparent here, I'm not familiar with the lottery funding and how it is dispersed to our district. But I think that getting the funding, applying for funding, and making sure that it is being directed where it needs to be to programs to be able to support children, or the facility or the teachers' trainings, is the best way for funding to be dispersed within the community, within the district.
Okay, Ms. Atteberry?
And like Ms. Schooler, I don't have the current numbers of the lottery funding. I do know that the lottery funding is disappointing, and it wasn't what it was promised to be when it first came into existence, that it was going to solve all of the financial woes of the school districts up and down the state. So I know it's been disappointingly low percentage of the lottery proceeds.
Okay, thank you. Our last question, well, actually, next to the last question. What are the unmet needs of teachers and staff? Excuse me. Do Biggs teachers need to fund their own supplies? And the first one is, I'm starting over into Miss Atteberry.
I wholeheartedly disagree that teachers should be funding any part of their own supplies. And that should come from district budgets or from parent volunteers or contributions. But absolutely, the teacher should not be funding the needs of the students in their classroom.
Okay, Miss Navarro.
I agree with Ms. Atteberry. I do not feel that teachers should be funding out of their own any school supplies. I do know in our community, the Parents Association is very, helps out a lot. I do know that one of our local employers funds as well. I do know that there is some funding from the district as well to help the teachers, as well as from ourselves as parents. When teachers put out requests for supplies. I mean, I remember every year bringing in bags of supplies for the teachers and seeing other parents doing that as well. So, but I don't feel it should come from the teachers.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Schooler.
Once again, I agree with Ms. Atteberry and Ms. Navarro. I don't feel like a teacher being responsible to provide supplies for their students, that's a very even platform to begin with. You see teachers who are starting off in their first year, and I've seen them be very overwhelmed because they don't have books or they don't have supplies for their classroom. And that can be a really big struggle for a teacher to be able to provide what they want or what they need for a student to be able to learn and have resources available to them. So yeah, through parent associations, I know that RPA with the Ridgeville Parents Association is able to provide their teachers with additional funding to be able to get classroom supplies. And again, we were in the same boat, Ms. Navarro, bringing in supplies the first day of class for our classroom as well. So no, I don't think that should be a responsibility that is put on the teacher's shoulders.
Okay. Thank you. I want to ask one last question before we move to closing statements, because you've tweaked my interest. You each mentioned that bullying is a problem in the school district, but you didn't tell us how you want to go about solving that problem. So, Ms. Navarro, can you share with us what you would do about bullying?
Well, there's so many things you can do. They talk about, doing bullying assemblies. But I think it's really important that we have school counselors available. School counselors at a school having the right tools to work with smaller groups of children, to be able to talk to the kids that are being bullied, as well as the ones that are bullying, to find out where this is coming from and how we can best support them. And then work together as a school to help those individuals, as opposed to putting information out there to kids. I think it comes down to working in smaller groups and working with those specific kids involved.
Ms. Schooler?
Well, I sure feel like that's a great idea. Having counselors work with smaller groups of children, I think that opens up a discussion and maybe helps students to learn more about each other than they otherwise would have. I also feel that if there are students who are being bullied or those that are bullying, having plans in place with the teachers and the parents when possible, to be able to take the necessary steps to keep it from happening. I have seen success with the bully assemblies that were mentioned. I remember in high school just having a group of random students selected, and they were put in the gym for the day, and they were asked different questions, and the impact that it had on them made a huge difference on how they looked at each other, because they were able to see the similarities and the differences, and that they weren't alone in many of the situations. So I feel like bringing students together when possible, so that they see each other as another person and they can get to know each other, will oftentimes help with the bullying issue.
Thank you. Ms. Atteberry?
I believe there should be a zero tolerance policy, and there's already policies and procedures, but I don't think they're evenly applied. And I think that we have to be looking at, are they truly evenly applied? I also would love to see a peer mediation program put in place, and it can be done as early as 3rd and 4th grade. And I've seen it be successful at times. And I think that would be a really important program to have at the elementary school through the high school.
Very good. Thank you. We'll move to our closing statements now, 1 minute closing statement, beginning with Ms. Navarro.
Okay, so all I could say is, as I seek my 3rd term, I'm for Biggs Elementary. I support our community. I'm a community member. I support our kids. I support our teachers. I support our administration. And I believe that being part of that and getting more parents involved in that process to come to school board meetings is what's important, so that the community can see how we're working for them.
Thank you. Ms. Atteberry?
I have long considered being a school board member, and frankly wanted to wait until my children were out of the school to serve as a member. And when I felt like I really had the time to devote to the district. I do think that I have a lot to offer, not only the administration, but the teachers and the students. I am the communication, and I keep saying that how important that is, but the ability to listen to everybody involved and communicate what is possible and what we can do, and implement what we've been talking about through the district, implementing for a very long time. That would be my focus.
Thank you. That completes our forum for the Biggs Unified.
I don't think Ms. Schooler had a chance to answer that last
Did I
question.
not? Did I check your
I'll
name
pay you
off?
back here.
I'm sitting here checking carefully and checking in advance. So, okay, Ms. Schooler, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Atteberry.
You take good care of each other.
We
Yes,
do, and I think that says a lot for each of us as candidates. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting either of you in person, but you both seem like you would be great fits for the school board. I feel like going in as the possibility of being a school board member, I have a passion for students. I have a passion for children, and being able to help provide them with the education that they deserve while supporting our community, bringing in the involvement of our parents and supporting that, and keeping an open line of communication with our community, as both Ms. Navarro and Ms. Atteberry have mentioned as well, is I feel like just going to bring a level of support and togetherness with the community and the school that could make a really big impact on our district. And so by, just supporting that involvement and that communication, I feel like I can really help to bring that communication together and that collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you to each of you. We appreciate you being here.